I heard a rumor that she was actually a direct relation of Marcel in Friends. I don't know how true that is, but that is a rumor I heard. I'm sure the tabloids will get excited about that.
Welcome to Watch Mojo's Poppin' the Culture, your weekly entertainment check-in. Me, you know me, I'm your host with the most, Mojo. That's right, it's me, Mr. Hollywood himself, Matt Demers. And I don't even need to say it, but I will. We got such a great show coming your way. We got tons of interviews. I'll be speaking with some of the stars of the Netflix show, The Devil in Ohio. Plus, I've got the cast of Gigi Nate, a new film that's out there. Plus, the director, producer, and stars of Get Away If You Can. Don't want to miss any of it. But first, as always, we're jumping into it. Here's your Hollywood headlines. All right, and here to drop her hot takes with me today is the voice of over 15,000 videos over here at Watch Mojo, Rebecca Brayton, the Watch Mojo lady herself. Hey, Rebecca, how's it going?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, listen, we're going to jump into it because we got so much to talk about.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, Rebecca, we begin with the never-ending drama surrounding Olivia Wilde's film, Don't Worry, Darling.
Keep calm and carry on.
There's the he said, she said battle between Wilde and Shia LaBeouf over whether the actor was actually fired from the project.
What are you waiting for? Do it!
There's the headline-grabbing act that occurred when Olivia was served custody papers on stage at CinemaCon while she was presenting the film, courtesy of ex-Jason Sudeikis.
I love evil, all right? It's my thing. And when bad things happen, no one is happier than this guy, okay?
And there's Florence Pugh's rumored feud with the director, seemingly over pay discrepancies and a lack of on-set attention, thanks to Olivia's heated romance with Pugh's co-star Harry Styles.
What I like about acting is I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, Don't Worry, Darling had its premiere at the Venice International Film Festival, where Florence Pugh skipped the press conference, but slayed on the red carpet, and Olivia Wilde denied all the drama.
The internet feeds itself. I don't feel the need to contribute. I think it's sufficiently well-nourished.
All right, Rebecca, does this whole behind-the-scenes Don't Worry, Darling drama hurt the film as much as it does my head?
Well, look, no press is bad press. Is that the saying? So buzz is buzz. I don't think it will hurt the film at all. In fact, I've seen many tweets to the effect of, I didn't want to see this movie, but now I have to see this movie.
Once inside the screening, Harry's seen bending over. Then the Star Trek star freezes mid-clap, looks at his lap, and laughs.
All right, well, moving on to feel-good Hollywood news. That's because Brendan Fraser's career renaissance seems to be well underway. This thanks to rave reviews for his leading role in Darren Aronofsky's new film, The Whale. After Fraser broke down in tears following a standing ovation in Venice, well, many took to social media to congratulate the actor, including one Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who threw it all the way back to the pair's time in The Mummy Returns. Okay, Rebecca, this isn't the first big Hollywood comeback, but why do you think so many people are rooting for Brendan Fraser?
If you've been following his career and the trials and tribulations he's been through in his career and in his personal life, it's hard not to want to see him find his way back from that. Also, I don't know him, but he seems like a really nice guy, so I would love to see more Hollywood nice guy energy, so I'm all for it.
Have lunch, everybody!
That airbag cost a lot of money.
I'm okay. Okay. Good morning. Hey, Batman, you good? All right.
All right, moving on with news of even more cast exits at Saturday Night Live.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thanks now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Alex Moffat, Melissa Villaseñor, and Aristotle Athari are reportedly not returning to the show's 48th season. This in addition to the already announced departures of Kate McKinnon, Aidy Bryant, Kyle Mooney, and Pete Davidson.
Chad, aren't you gonna say goodbye?
Bye.
Chad, I'll always cherish what we've had together.
Okay.
Okay, Rebecca, what do all these exits mean for SNL? Every time these happen, people say the show's in trouble. I don't know. What do you think?
I think the show has been on since 1975 and has been through several exoduses like this, and it has survived, and it will continue to survive and thrive. In fact, the show is built on bringing in new energy and new comedic voices every several seasons, and that is exactly what's going to happen here. We're going to see new people shine and come to the forefront. So I'm not worried for the show at all, and I'm excited to see, who they bring, who finds the spotlight in the next season.
Everyone's talking about me. No one's talking about the water. What did the autopsy say? They iceberged it? No, they drowned. That's not me. That's water.
Speaking of TV series, Rebecca, the Armie Hammer true crime tell-all, House of Hammer, has viewers shocked with its many disturbing allegations, including a family history of abusive behavior.
When all this came out about Armie, I was not shocked.
You just don't wake up and become this dark controller, abuser.
Well, one alleged victim who does not appear in the series, but whose allegations actually sparked the LAPD investigation against Armie, has spoken out against the program, calling it overly exploitive.
He pushes your boundaries a little bit at a time. You're his. Completely.
Rebecca, what do you think? Are documentaries like this too sensationalist? What about this one in particular?
In general, I do think that, being more critical of people in power and abusing their status and position is a good thing. And I feel like that's what this documentary aimed to do. But, I have seen some critiques of the documentary that say the first episode does that and is like a good exploration of the Hammer family. But the rest is a bit sensational.
How did Armie Hammer go from Hollywood golden boy to an alleged abuser?
And last for us is news that Chris Rock has done something that not many people have. Said no to Oprah.
And so you need to cut the you really do, okay? Just cut the okay?
During a comedy show in Phoenix, Rock shared that he actually turned down a sit-down interview with Oprah Winfrey to discuss the infamous Oscar slap, of course.
Get out of here! Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. See? Wow. Wow. Oprah, I've never done that to a black woman.
All right, Rebecca, are you surprised by this? You can't say no to Oprah. Are we ever going to hear Chris Rock's side of the story?
Okay, so this is something I say and think whenever I am confronted with a piece of celebrity gossip. While I might want to know what's going on in that celebrity's head about this very personal, event in their life, it's not really my business unless they want to make it my business. So by Chris Rock saying no to Oprah, and I feel like in this scenario, Oprah is probably the only person that had a chance of getting something out of him, then no, I don't think we'll ever get not his side of the story, but I don't think he'll talk.
Rebecca, thank you so much for joining me today with all your hot takes and opinions, as always.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me.
But you know what? I can't have you leave because me and you, we got to take a little trip. You know the trip. It's
be on the list.
All right, Rebecca, as we do, we go in the vast archives of Watch Mojo. We pluck out that old top 10 list. We go beyond the list. What the heck does that mean? It means me and you get to go through it, have a little bit of fun, give our own personal critiques and opinions. I thought today would be fun because you see in the headlines that so many movie studios are doing these kind of brain dead decisions when it comes to the fan base, canceling Batgirl. I mean,
whatever do you mean?
They're just giving their fans a big slap in the face. Well, now I thought we'd take it back to when studios listened to the fans. There's a novel idea. So these are movie studios that made changes because of fan feedback. I know you're an avid movie watcher. What's the last movie you saw that you might want to recommend to viewers, Rebecca, on the spot?
Oh, no. Okay, that I actually would want to recommend?
Yeah,
like,
I'm looking for a recommendation. A recommendation from the Watch Mojo lady.
Oh, way to put me on the spot. The last movie I watched was Noises Off. And I guarantee you there's one person watching this or listening to this that knows what that is.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
It's like an ensemble farce comedy, which is, I'm kind of like, that's what I'm going for right now. The last movie I watched before that was Soap Dish, which is another ensemble farce comedy. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I'm gonna throw out Bodies. I saw that not long ago and I enjoyed it. Pete Davidson's it's a slasher fun. It's more comedy than it is horror. There's so much satire. It's great. It's great stuff. All right, let's move on to other movies that maybe you have heard about because we made changes in a good way. Rebecca, we're starting with Star Wars: Rise of the Skywalker. The thing in question here is Rey's lineage. I don't know your Star Wars fandom. Are you a watcher?
I have seen all of them. Well, I've seen all okay. I'm not the biggest Star Wars person, but like I definitely appreciate them and I appreciate how much other people love them. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Did you like the character Rey? Because that's what this is about. So when we had The Force Awakens, we learned that her lineage rather was kind of muddy, and we thought maybe she was going to be an important part of past families, and then in the second follow up they said no. And we were like, what?
Well, technically, not to be one of these. Well, actually, she is part of an important family, just not a positive one.
Yeah, no, well, that's what happened at the end. The writers threw in her whole, what is it? She the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine, and then there was a message there. I don't know. What do you make of that course correction? I think it was fine. I think it was good.
I had no problem with it, but I didn't dislike the sequel series, so I may be the wrong person to ask because a lot of people did. But I liked all the new characters. I thought it was interesting. I like the message of, it's not necessarily the family that you're born into, but kind of what you make of yourself that matters. So the fact, I think it was good that she wasn't a Skywalker because that would have been a bit easy.
Do you have a Jar Jar Binks poster in your room when you were younger? All right, Rebecca, moving on to Goodfellas at number 9. This is what Watch Mojo is calling a different editing style. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. And can you believe that ending, the final act, the paranoia, and our main character, he's hopped up on all that cocaine, and it's just a kind of a paranoid bit of filmmaking. That was thanks to the audience.
Good for them. Because I think that's very effective. It's an effective, because you're telling the story in many different ways, and you're like actually evoking emotion from the audience. And I hate feeling that way when I'm watching a movie, but it's like, it's effective and you should, but it's still annoying, right? Like I don't want to like have heart palpitations while watching a movie, but props to the fans for
because it was
a
test screening said it was too drawn out. It didn't kind of match what was happening story-wise, and I really love that end. That's one of my favorite third acts of a movie, period. So props to whoever was in that test screening for giving us some good ideas to improve, and thanks to the studio for listening. Number 8 on this list is Licensed Revoked. License to Kill. Do you remember this? This is Timothy Dalton's James Bond movie, and I remember that there was controversy about people thought that the license revoked had to do with his driver's license, right?
Oh boy,
not his.
I'm trying to think if this movie hadn't been called License to Kill, would I think I associate licenses with James Bond? Maybe not. So
if it was called,
I don't know,
007's License Revoked, would you think that James Bond
that doesn't work.
Driver's license taken away?
Good for the audience. They were right. That was a bad title.
It does though.
Yeah.
You're just, the whole movie's just James Bond in line at the you know, the DMV. Trying to get his license back.
It's that scene from Zootopia with the sloths.
Yeah,
that's taking too long.
That's what I'm picturing. There you go. License to Kill. That's a much better title. I don't remember this movie. I'm a big Bond fan. This 1989? Yeah, that one's kind of low for me on the James Bond scale. So, regardless, the title's better. Number 7, Scott leaves with Ramona Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Ooh, this was about who our main character was going to leave with, right? At the end, would he be able to win over the girl? I like that movie. That's Edgar Wright, and his movies always blow me away. And I remember this one being great, and not just because I'm Canadian. This is a love letter to Toronto in certain ways. Did you like this movie?
Yeah, this movie's awesome. I've only seen it once, but overall, I think the audience was right to react the way they did at the original ending when Scott ends up with Ramona, because, like, I don't know. The movie's about him kind of losing interest in his actual girlfriend for this girl, and then she kind of puts him through the ringer so they can be together. And, like, I understand that that's the entire premise of the movie, but, like, Scott doesn't deserve Ramona because, you know, he was a jerk to Knives, and then Ramona doesn't deserve Scott because she was a jerk to him, and I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts. I could go on a whole thing.
You could do a TED Talk on this, Rebecca. I had no idea. I guess I hadn't put that much. For a fan of the movie, I hadn't put this much thought into it. But you've got all the points down, so I'm not disagreeing. Let's move on though to number 6. This makes me laugh. They needed to make Star Trek those kind of reboots more Star Trek-y. They weren't as Star Trek-y as Star Trek was. I kind of agree, but I kind of like that it was kind of different, because I'm not a Trekkie by any means. But I did enjoy those Chris Pine movies, maybe because it wasn't as Star Trek-y, but then they made it more so in the.
But you still liked them.
I did, but I listen, if you're gonna do a reboot or a remake or a refresh, whatever you want to call it, you don't want to just copy what was done before. You gotta have a reason to do it. You gotta bring something new to the table. And I thought those Star Trek early movies, I didn't think there was anything wrong with them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult because who's your audience? Like, are you trying to impress the original fans who've been there since the beginning, or are you trying to win new fans and make more money? Basically, it's really difficult. But I'm sure there were a lot of money decisions behind making it less Star Trek-y. And then, if that didn't work, then may as well make the fans happy, right?
And exactly. The Star Trek fan base is so big that they, you don't want to get them angry. There's like certain fan bases, right? Marvel, Star Trek. I
think every fan base now. I don't think it's exclusive to these.
BTS Army. I'm afraid to say anything bad about that. I don't know what's going to happen to me.
What's bad to say?
Fandom has kind of got a little toxic, but that's a story for another time. Because we're moving on to studios making good decisions in movies. Here's this one for Fantastic Four 2015. This didn't really make a difference because the movie was still terrible. But they ditched Victor, what do they call him? Victor Domashev, where they were making Dr. Doom this kind of hacker. Remember, it was leaked, and that's what they were going with the character, and the audience was like, "What? Dr. Doom's one of the biggest bad villains in all of MCU. You're making him like a little hacker guy." So they ditched that storyline, but the movie was still terrible.
Fat four stick. That's all I can say.
It's terrible. Everything about that movie, down to the title.
Look, even the director knew that movie was bad. So.
Oh yeah, and he hasn't recovered. Josh Trank. I feel bad for him.
No, that sucks.
Yeah, but that movie, but I also, as a comic book fan, am angry that we haven't gotten a proper Doctor Doom in the movies.
When does this air?
This is going to air on
this
Friday.
Week?
Why? Do you have inside intel?
No, but they're announcing the Fantastic Four cast at D23 this weekend.
That's right. You're right.
It's happening.
Right. So
it's happening.
But we don't know there's going to be a Doctor Doom in that movie, do we?
I feel like we do. I don't know. We don't know. But anyway,
don't know.
this is just proof that listening to the fans does not always work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does, but not this time.
I can't wait to see if Doctor Doom does get cast, and I can't wait to see if they do it right, which they tend to do so nowadays with Kevin Feige behind the scenes. So we shall see. Number 4 is the Alien franchise, Alien Covenant in 2017. Well, they threw in a xenomorph. These were the prequels. I forgot the name of the other one. They had elements of Alien, and as an Alien fan,
yes.
you kind of
What's
look
it
for
called?
those.
Does it start with a P?
Covenant. There's Alien Covenant. Prometheus.
Okay,
You're thinking of Prometheus. Yeah.
I am. Yes.
That was okay, but yeah, I think I was with everyone else and was like, okay, give me some xenomorphs.
Yeah,
some
I mean,
aliens.
how do you not?
How do you not?
A little bit.
Yeah.
If you're gonna
Well,
take
that was
away
good.
everything else, then you gotta. Yeah. Then there needs to be some connective tissue.
So yeah, Prometheus had none. Alien Covenant did, and I actually enjoyed that movie. That's why I like going back on the list with you, because now I get these ideas of rewatching movies that I enjoyed. So far it's Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and then I'll do a double feature with Alien Covenant. How about that? Number 3, the DCEU stops being so dark. So that was the big criticism. Batman v Superman, Man of Steel was so serious, and then Marvel, of course, was very light, and the audience was like, why so dark, DC? And then, of course, we got things like Shazam, Suicide Squad, which bit of a mixed bag, but they did lighten things up, maybe a little too much by the time we got to Justice League, not the Zack Snyder cut, but the other one. But yeah, I don't mind. I mean, there's room for superhero movies to go dark and be serious, but some characters you just need to add a little bit of light, especially Superman. I feel like I didn't mind Man of Steel, but I feel like there could have been a little bit more, because it felt almost like a Batman movie at times. How dark it was.
Well, so okay. Arguably, I don't know how arguable it is. Batman and Superman are like the marquee DC characters, right? So if Batman's dark, which is fine, you can have dark Batman movies.
Yeah.
Superman should be light, right? Especially if they're going to go up against each other. Because what are, like, if they're the same, then what are they fighting about?
Yeah.
I know that doesn't make total solid sense, but
no, I think
I missed like the Christopher Reeve Supermans. Like it was just like he was just a Boy Scout, a big blue Boy Scout. Is that what they called him?
That's right.
So I don't know. Yeah, I agree that it doesn't need to be as dark, but it can still be dark in spots. Like not every movie has to be, I say
you're
Shazam,
absolutely right.
Shazam was great.
No, Shazam's great. Keep that tone. I love that tone. But Batman, the darker the better. I always say like it could be like a black screen with like shadowy figures. I'd still watch it because I love me some dark Batman. Rebecca.
Wait. What about like
Sorry.
what about Tim Burton Batmans?
Yeah, those
would you
are
call
great.
them dark?
Yeah, I would.
Oh,
and I think
okay.
he kickstarted the dark Batman, because then but then we got the Schumacher stuff, which he lightened everything up with the neon and the.
Look, I know we've talked about this, but I like Batman Forever.
I know you do.
Let's not go there. I don't think the Tim Burton ones are that dark.
No, but for the time they were absolutely.
I guess.
I think. Yeah.
I guess.
I'm laughing because Rebecca, I just peeked what was number 2.
Here we go.
Jar Jar. We had this big discussion about Jar Jar and your fandom. You've outed yourself as a Jar Jar Binks fan on the show.
No, I'm a Jar Jar apologist, I'll say.
Well, yeah. Number 2 is the Star Wars prequel series and Jar Jar. We don't need to go into it, but people were like, we don't like him. It was just I think the word is annoying. It was an annoying character. I think a little bit of Jar Jar could have gone a long way, but yeah, there's too much.
I agree. Jar Jar. I guess like at that time they were trying to get younger viewers interested because, presumably kids who watched it originally were now parents, so they were bringing their kids but I think it went too far and they probably underestimated
Absolutely.
how annoying.
No, these goofy, silly side characters. I'm not a fan. I remember the Transformer series tried to do some with and those were just problematic for a whole other reason. But yeah, there's all kinds of these side characters that just don't work. Okay, number one, I can't believe I forgot about this. I know. Sonic the Hedgehog. Can you believe that first trailer, Rebecca, was so bad? And people, I was one of the people that was like, how is this greenlit? The design of Sonic was so terrible. And by the way, watch that Chip and Dale movie where you have ugly Sonic. It's so fun that they can make fun of it. But now Sonic the Hedgehog is a bona fide franchise, and they got the design so right after listening to the fans, and they did the turnaround pretty quick. This is such a success story to me. The fact that they put that trailer out, and that should have been, the end of it, and then it turned out to be mega hit.
I agree. The one caveat to that is how stressful and terrible it must have been for the VFX artists. So full credit where credit is due to them, because it must have been miserable. But at least it worked. You know what I mean? At least what ended up happening was, or what they ended up releasing was a good movie that ended up being successful. Because it would be really annoying to do all that work and then it not be worth it.
Absolutely. No, I'm such a stan now for Sonic. I can't wait.
Again, put James Marsden in everything.
And Jim Carrey, don't leave acting just yet. We need you for a few more Sonic sequels. All right, Rebecca, this has been so much fun, as always. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, it is time for our Mojo Chats of the week. We got so many, and we're kickstarting things with some of the stars of the Netflix show Devil in Ohio. It's a shocking thriller. We've got murder and mayhem. What's not to love? Devil in Ohio lands on Netflix. I've got Emily and Madeleine to tell me more about it. Ladies, thank you so much. This is great stuff. I'm going to pose the same question to both of you. Maybe Emily, you can tackle it first. What drew you to these characters? There's obviously a lot of intrigue, but I'm curious your take on your particular character. They're both very different.
Yeah, my character is Suzanne, who's a hospital psychiatrist who decides to take in a patient that arrives named May, who Madeleine plays, who's escaping a traumatic background, and she comes with a scar on her back, and there's no place for her to go. They're going to send her out in the street, and so Suzanne brings her home. And I think for me, it was fascinating psychologically to explore the character, to see why psychiatrists would actually do that when it's a big no-no and a big ethical breach to bring a patient home to your family. And I wanted to explore that with the character and explore different themes on the show, like trauma and what's right and wrong and cults and things like that. And Madeleine, maybe you want to answer for yourself.
Well, yeah, I think, similar to you, I'm fascinated by cults. I love a thriller. So getting to play with like the trust and suspicion, and then specifically getting to play May. I mean, I'm always up for a challenge, and May was a challenge in the best of ways. And I love someone that's so multi-layered or multifaceted. So I was like, I have to do this. And I was so honored to play her and just like get to dive into it and do research on it and figure out who she was and where she was coming from and all of that. It was really a really cool ride.
Absolutely. Okay. You mentioned research. That was my next question because, well, this is based on a book. So I guess kind of what's your relationship with that book? Did you read it beforehand, or is it something that you held as kind of like almost like the Bible on set? And what other kind of research did you go in bring to the table? Madeleine, why don't we stick with you since you mentioned it first?
Yeah, so I read the book through the auditioning process. And then there are some differences from the book. So I didn't really hold it as like a Bible while we were filming, but it was definitely really helpful. I think anytime you have source material, when you can take any little tidbit and just try to soak that up as to like where your character, like their psyche and what's happening. So having Dari's book was fantastic. And then research-wise, just like looking at insular communities and isolated communities and cults and just trying to take anything that I could to really ground her and make her authentic and like fully embody her, because she is so specific and so unique and so far apart and different from myself, was really what I did, and watched movies and read a book and just kind of did all of that kind of prep, which I always like to do. I think that's like it a very exciting part of the process.
Absolutely. Emily, did you go down any rabbit holes looking up cults and everything?
A little bit. A little bit. I've always been fascinated by cults. So I already watched a lot of documentaries on cults. I talked to a psychiatrist and really I spoke to her and to understand what the life of a psychiatrist is like, what it would be like to be treating someone like the character of May, why May behaves in the ways that she behaves, and then why my character Suzanne would behave in her ways, and why someone would take her patient home with her in this way. The psychiatrist said that she would never believe it unless it was based on a true story. So the book itself is inspired by a true story. And then the show is also inspired by that true story and the book. And the same person who wrote the book created the show and was the showrunner. So it was all connected. And I, of course, picked everyone's brain about the true story and what the details were there, because I find it fascinating.
You're not alone. I'm right there with you. Anything true story, true crime, I just eat it up. And I know a lot of people are going to dig this one too. Thank you so much, Emily, Madeleine, for your time today.
Thank you.
All right, it's now time for my chat with the stars of the new film Gigi and Nate. Take a look. The movie is titled Gigi and Nate, and it's this really great film. It's very heartfelt. It's got lots to say about resilience, hope, relationships, the love of animals, especially monkeys. Here to tell me more about it, we've got Charlie and Josephine. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, let's start. Okay, I promise the whole thing isn't going to be about the monkey, but I need to know. They always say in Hollywood, don't work with animals, don't work with kids. Here we have this monkey, and I'm always reminded of the horror stories you hear from the set of Friends when Ross had the monkey. What was your experiences with this monkey? Tell me about the monkey. Charlie, start with you. What was the monkey's real name?
The monkey's real name was Josephine Langford.
There we go.
No, there we go.
There we go.
No, the monkey's real name was Ali. I heard a rumor that she was actually a direct relation of Marcel in Friends. I don't know how true that is, but that is a rumor I heard. I'm sure the tabloids will get excited about that. She was a fantastic co-star. I met her on the first day I arrived in LA and pretty much worked with her every day for about 3 months. It's funny watching a relationship grow like that. I mean, by the end, there were days when she was just grooming me on set. There was one day, I lied when I say there are days. There was one day where she groomed me on set out of nowhere. And it was apparently, according to the monkey wranglers, a sign of her appreciation of me.
Oh, so what grooming, like with your hair, or like she?
Yeah, like she just went up behind my head and just like, pick stuff out, which was very cute. I mean, every minute on set with the monkey was cute.
Well, it really was a cute monkey. I mean, as far as co-stars go, and obviously very believable. The scenes, I bought into it the whole way through. Listen, I had a few waterworks. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. Josephine, what was your relationship with the monkey on set?
I didn't get to have as many scenes with Ali, but I was very lucky. But yeah, I think she liked me apparently, because she did the same thing one day. I got the monkey on the shoulder with the tail around the neck, and it's a good feeling to get that kind of validation. But I actually had, my experience was great. I didn't find that I had to do like a whole bunch of takes, or what you usually hear with working with animals, or
Absolutely. Okay, at the beginning, I kind of touched on a little bit of themes and things that this movie tackles. There's a lot of them. What's that one thing that you hope audiences take away from this? Josephine, maybe start with you, because I feel like there's a lot of little messages and commentaries here that I think are pretty useful.
Yeah, I think this is a story about family and hope and change and grief and adapting to that. And what I really loved about the movie and why I wanted to do it was because I thought it was just a really uplifting, feel-good message and story, and that you can overcome things. And so that's what I would hope people take away, because that's what I kind of got from it.
Absolutely. Charlie, you had to do an incredible job on set. I'm assuming there was a lot of preparation to not only play that character properly, but respectfully as well. What kind of preparation did you go into? Was it a long process?
I mean, it was long, I suppose. It was a couple months before shooting, and then obviously throughout the shoot. But I worked with this lady called Nancy Lerher, who's a physical therapist for people with spinal cord injuries in Atlanta, and so we were working on the physicality of the character and how I mean, basically how you live your life when that takes place. And then there was also a lot of conversations with disabled people and people with spinal cord injuries. This guy Craig and this guy Ned, who the film is sort of loosely based on. And I mean, I just spent a lot of time in the chair. I took the chair out to Target. I went and got food in the chair and just start to soak in how people treat you when you're in it and behave around you. So I mean, a lot of work, but yeah, I'm glad you that it translated.
It absolutely did. Okay, last question. Let's have a little bit of fun. We here at Watch Mojo, we like to rank things. We're all about like the top 10. Obviously, we've got a really cute monkey in the film. There's plenty of movies out there with animals. What tops your list? What's your favorite movie animal from a movie, excluding yours? Because I'm sure Ali will end up on a lot of lists. What do you think?
Stuart Little.
Oh yes, the little mouse.
Does that count? Well, I can't even remember. Was that?
I don't think it was a real mouse.
I'm going to accept it.
Thank you.
Josephine.
I want to say Marley and Me, just because of how the dog affects you. No spoilers, but with what happens. Yeah.
There you go. Absolutely. Hey, we want to encourage everyone to check out this movie. Thank you guys so much for your time today. This has been great. All right, here's the directors, producers, and stars of the film Get Away If You Can. The movie is titled Get Away If You Can. It's an oceanside thriller, and I'm so excited to speak with the stars, the directors, the writers, producers. I don't know, did they make food for the crew? I'm always curious. We've got Terrence and Dominique. First of all, congratulations on the movie coming out. That must be exciting.
Very exciting. It's like a baby.
Baby. And actually we did. I would fish on the way to set and we would have fresh sashimi on the island.
Amazing. Most of the time I say that and they're like, no, we didn't make food. So that's good to hear. You say it's your baby. You're not joking because listen, you, well, I already said that you wrote this, you directed this together. This is kind of your labor of love. Give us kind of the abridged version of the journey. How long did it take? Because making a movie, by the way, is a monumental feat, but doing it together, I mean, what was your journey like?
Yeah, I mean, we like to say 7 years. It's a nice lucky number. It was a little longer than that, but it started off, we wanted to make a movie together as a couple. I had directed a film and I saw that Domi had a very natural talent for acting and she studied acting. And I said, let's just try something together. Always wanted to do like an island drama. And it started off, we said, where are we going to shoot? And we ended up at Robinson Crusoe Island, which is named because the book, Robinson Crusoe, is based on a sailor that actually maroons himself there in the 1700s. So we were loosely playing with this idea and making our own film. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Dominique, I'm going to switch to you because I've seen the film, by the way. It's really great. And I kind of want to tiptoe around spoilers because there's some really fun revelations and life lessons, if you will. But what do you hope people take out of this? What are kind of the themes that you hope audiences pull from your film?
Wow, that's a deep question. I hope if they're in any situation and they want to get away, they get away if they can, because this movie is about searching for your path and searching for your happiness. And I wish they take something of that. That would be incredible.
Absolutely. Okay, so you said 7 years working on this film together. Obviously, you guys are very close together. Did you learn something new about each other during that process that maybe you didn't prior?
Every day, all the time. First of all, we learned that we can work together and have fun doing it. Which we are a married couple, so that was really beautiful to see that Even when our tastes do not align, they really do most of the time. But when they don't, it's when it's the most interesting, because we can talk each other on why, and we learn from the other points of view. So that was beautiful. As a couple, it was an amazing experience.
And I learned that my wife absolutely kicks ass. I mean, I didn't speak a lick of Spanish, and here we are on this island. It's our first movie as a main actress. She's producing, so she's handling all the logistics as she has to act. And I was just like really impressed with how she stepped up, because movie making is not for everyone. It's extremely stressful, as you know, and it takes a giant commitment. And it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. We used an Argentine crew too, so she was the one on set really speaking with them and making sure everything went perfectly.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I really liked about it too, is the way it looked. It really drew me in. I felt like I was there, right there with your characters. I want to speak on some of the other characters that we had on the show, on the movie rather, because you got some pretty big names. I don't know how you landed them, but one being Mr. Ed Harris, who's got, well, his body of work speaks for itself. What was that process like? How did you land Mr. Ed Harris? He was great, by the way.
I think without us shooting that island footage, we would have had no chance to get Ed Harris. But what we had is we had shot this island footage, and we had about 60 minutes that we really loved, but we still had worked that into a film to see how it was. And I had a contact with him because I used to work at the Academy Awards. I was just a talent page, but I would get assigned 4 or 5 people that are nominated or that are speaking, and I would be responsible for getting them on camera. And one year for Pollock, I got Ed, and I just got along so well with him. And I thought, man, if I ever could get...
He was my dream actor to play his father. They look alike, and he's always been like one of the most amazing actors that I love. So it was our first choice, and sometimes magic happens. I think it's those things of that have to happen, and it's completely luck. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's also what we shot, because he was able to see that and say, I see myself as your dad. I see myself in this film. And we spoke to him about how his role would play, that it's going to be kind of this Macbeth father talking into the ears, you know, and he was like, okay, cool, I dig it. You know, he's an artist himself.
Because this couple is getting away from the life in the city and a predetermined life, you know, that the parents, the life is taking them in, and they're not able to connect and be happy. So we're getting away from that. So Ed was really important, because he's that father that loves you, but that wants you to follow his steps, what he thinks is the best of life, and maybe it's not for you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I like that I'm submissive to him, because I could play on that nervousness of working with one of my icons, you know, on my first movie. Yeah.
He brings the intensity. There's a couple of really great scenes. And it's a lot of times, I don't want to say who, but a lot of times you see these actors who are very prominent. They'll kind of phone it in later with their no phoning it in here from Mr. Ed Harris. So great. So great. All right, last question. Let's have a little bit of fun here. Obviously, we're talking in the film, there's a deserted island. This is the age-old question. If you were to get abandoned in a deserted island and you can only have 3 things with you, if you had the luxury, in this movie, maybe not so much, but if you had the luxury of having 3 things with you, what are those 3 things you're going to put on your deserted island?
Well, I need a surf boy for sure, because I love to surf. And if I had a proper board, I know every day I would feel like the soul cleanse of the ocean. So that would be my number 1.
I need a good mattress inside a cave. A good mattress inside a cave, and I'm a happy woman.
That's a good one too. I'll second that one.
Amazing. Any others?
We can entertain each other with music, an instrument or a guitar or something would be fun.
I'm gonna put my dog and my cat in there.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
As long as we don't get too hungry.
It could serve 2 purposes, maybe. Yeah, as long as I have some sort of Wi-Fi connection, I think I'll be okay. Because then I can watch movies like yours. We do encourage everyone to check it out. It's called Getaway If You Can. Terrence, Dominique, thank you guys so much. This has been fun. All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition, everybody. Big thanks going out to the Watch Mojo lady herself, Rebecca Brayton, and of course all my guests today. So many shows and movies to watch. Make sure you check them all out. Devil in Ohio, Gigi and Nate, gotta love that monkey, plus Getaway If You Can. And hey, big thanks going out to you for watching and listening. As always, I've been Mr. Hollywood. pop in that culture?